Let's bring in our Jonathan Jones, who broke this news moments ago. JJ, interesting timing here, because we were about ready to go live to Mike Vrabel and Robert Kraft in New England, and then Jerry Jones drops this bomb. What more can you tell us?
Okay, actually, before we get into Mike McCarthy, because you led like that, Chris, I have to note this. Jerry Jones, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, who at any point over the last week plus could have come to this decision. He could have come to this decision earlier in the morning. He could have come to this decision later in the afternoon. But yesterday, after Mike Vrabel was confirmed as the head coach of the New England Patriots, there was a press release that went out saying that at 12 Eastern there would be a press conference at Gillette Stadium. And Robert Kraft, who we know wants to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that he would be attending that, obviously talking with the media. And so what happens right around noon Eastern time as Mike Vrabel and Robert Kraft are about to introduce this new era of New England Patriots football? Some big news on the Cowboys drops. America's team. If you want to think that's a coincidence, if you don't believe in rivalries in the NFL, brother, I got a bridge to sell you. So that's just one interesting note. And now, Chris, we can talk about the actual news.
Yes, and that news today is that the Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy are parting ways after 5 seasons, bookend bad seasons. In the middle there was some nice meat, 3 straight 12-win seasons, but the bottom line was only one postseason win, and it came a couple of years ago. Our Jonathan Jones reporting that Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys could not agree on a contract and they part ways. So I guess one of the questions here, JJ, is, was this all a Jerry Jones Cowboys decision, or did it have something to do with maybe Mike McCarthy's wishes as well?
I think that it had to do, Chris, with the contract length. I believe this was his 5th season with the Dallas Cowboys, and so he signed a 5-year contract. I've been talking with coaching agents, with other coaches, the last, 2+ weeks about what could happen in Dallas, and several of them said there is no reason for Mike McCarthy to accept anything less than a 4-year contract extension. Sort of the industry standard these days is around 5, sometimes 6. 4 would be on the low end. And we don't know exactly what the Dallas Cowboys were offering. If it was 1, 2, 3, maybe it was 4. Maybe Mike McCarthy didn't have any sort of appetite for something that was less than what he had already signed. But my sources tell me that both sides could not come to terms on contract length. So that at least shows that there was a want to from the Dallas Cowboys. No question about it. One can assume or extrapolate from that Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys wanted fewer years, that Mike McCarthy wanted more years. This is a more long-term security, and they could not find some middle ground.
So last week, the report was the Bears wanted to interview McCarthy, and the Cowboys and Jerry Jones said, no, you can't do that. Does this free McCarthy up to talk to whoever he wants to now? And which teams, JJ, do you think might want to talk to him about their openings?
Yeah, he is absolutely a free agent. He can talk to whomever he wants. Any team that has an opening right now, and we know, of course, there are now 6 openings. Of course, Dallas makes 6, so there are 5 teams that could have interest in Mike McCarthy. They don't have to request permission from the Dallas Cowboys. We heard that the Bears, of course, did that about a week ago. The Cowboys left them on red, if you will. So the Bears can circle back if they so wish. I know there are some reports out there on the Saints. I understand the link and the ties because Mike McCarthy was the offensive coordinator there for a couple of years before Sean Payton got there. I'm not entirely sure that that's bound to happen, but certainly an interview could take place. And then the rest of them, we certainly will see. Mike McCarthy has been at 2 places with a lot of pressure on him. The Green Bay Packers, of course, and the Dallas Cowboys. And so if you are a team that needs someone who can deal with the pressures of this job, the market, what goes into winning and losing, all of those things, as well as an offensive play caller. That's a job for someone in Chicago. That's a job for someone in New York, perhaps. And so, obviously we will see now that he is a free agent. I can also tell you this. While teams did not know whether Mike McCarthy would or would not become a free agent, there was an assumption. I'm not saying it was 100%, not saying it was 80%, but more than 50% an assumption that Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys would work something out. And now they have not, and so now any team that is truly interested in him can get their plans together.
And so now the Cowboys need to get their plans together. Who might be on the wish list for Jerry Jones and that family there?
All right, so a lot of names that we could go through, right? I mean, one of the first ones that comes to mind, Steve Sarkisian with the University of Texas Longhorns. Another college coach who comes to mind, Bill Belichick with the University of North Carolina. Look, we can just make this whole question about Belichick because that's what you're going to hear, and you're going to hear it over and over and over again. I mean, it is such a Jerry Jones hire, it's not even funny, right? And we know that Bill Belichick still wants the NFL wins record. We also know that he can't get an NFL win in Chapel Hill. And so while there has been flirtation, there's no question about it, while Bill Belichick and his general manager at UNC, Mike Lombardi, have been on the record saying we're not going anywhere. Of course, one must say that. I will be very, very interested to see what Jerry Jones may do or say with Bill Belichick. If it gets some legs, that will be absolutely fascinating. You can go down the list of all the coaching candidates, and we could talk about how this offensive play caller could do well for Dak. We could talk about this defensive coordinator who he could bring in an offensive guy and do well for Dak. Or we can talk about the big names and what everyone is going to be talking about for as long as the search goes on.
All right, Bill Belichick, $10 million buyout until
win since 2005, set to take on the one-seeded Detroit Lions in Detroit in the divisional round. Back in the mix with Logan Ryan and Bryant McFadden, here to dig right in, because fellas, we're only as good as our next one. Lions, Commanders, talent all over the field, strengths in different places. When I say Lions, Commanders, what is that matchup within the matchup that your eyes are going to immediately go to, Mac?
Aaron Glenn, Cliff Kingsbury. Aaron Glenn has been the most coveted defensive coordinator in the National Football League this season. No question, he's a head coach in waiting. But before he gets to that opportunity, he has some business to take care of. And it starts with finding a way to do what? Slow down, neutralize, put pressure on Jayden Daniels. When you look at the quarterback-OC relationship there in Washington, they work so well together. Cliff Kingsbury has done a phenomenal job being able to put Jayden Daniels in positions to be successful, and Jayden Daniels has done a phenomenal job executing the plays. But when you look at this matchup, the Washington Commanders are currently in this position because of how good their young quarterback has been. Once again, he was the best playmaker on the field there in Tampa. Can he do the same thing in Motown? And if Aaron Glenn finds a way to slow him down, Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, they will get extra possessions to do what they've been able to do the entire season, which has been score points. So that is the matchup that I'm watching because both sides have really been impressive. Individually speaking, Jayden Daniels has been a big-time surprise in terms of what he's been able to do and being able to sustain that level of play. And then Aaron Glenn has been a mastermind. Look at what he did recently against Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold came in that thing hibachi hot as well. He came out, he was cool. Super cool. He was cooled off like an ice cube. So can they cool off Jayden Daniels just a tad bit?
I like where B-Mac's at on the macro level with the coordinators, but I'm going to even shrink it down. Same type of matchup, but I'm talking about Amik Robinson, the Lions corner, covering Terry McLaurin. Because, yes, the Lions defense looked a lot better. That's the biggest question mark with the Lions. We know what they can do offensively. We know what they generate over there. That's tough. Their biggest weakness is on defense. That's what they need to have a Super Bowl. Amik Robinson stepped up. They played a lot of man-to-man in that Minnesota game, and he covered Justin Jefferson well. Sam Darnold missed some throws. Will Jayden Daniels miss those throws? And Terry McLaurin, could he follow and shadow Terry McLaurin and shut him down or have him have an off night like he did Justin Jefferson? So that was a huge key for them beating Minnesota and clinching that one seed. But will he be able to repeat that success, or was that a kind of a fluke? Because being a top corner and covering these guys is hard. I've covered Terry McLaurin. You're going to see in this touchdown here. This guy keeps going. He is not phased. If he drops one, if one breaks up, he comes right back. This guy's a hard worker. He's earned the right to be talked about in these moments. I know Terry McLaurin is going to come to play. Can Detroit cover him? That's going to be the biggest question mark.
Two big-time matchups that are going to decide the outcome of this game. Put me down for Alex Anzalone staring Jaden Daniels right in the eyes. I can't wait to see that cat and mouse happen pre-snap as well. Washington, 9 wins this season, including the wild card round by 6 or fewer points. Detroit's doing it a different way. They're blowing teams out. They've been held under 31 points since Thanksgiving against the Bears, and that was a weird one. So it's all going to come down to who can get that extra possession, who can limit in the biggest moments, and who can make that biggest play. Vegas thinks it's the Lions making the play time and again. 8.5 between them. According to our friends in the desert, 55.5 is our total. You give me the What comes after the If the is the ellipses, what do you,
I feel like right now, how I feel, you said 8.5, right, Joe?
8.5, 55.5.
Yo, Logan, I'm going to take the Commanders getting 8.5. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. And until I see otherwise, and we have some days to kind of dissect this game and as we get prepared to talk about it and watch it as well. But right now, Jaden Daniels is special. Jaden Daniels is special. I think he's going to be able to put points on the scoreboard because he's a +1. Like when you play against a guy like Jaden Daniels, it's like defending 12 play dealing with. You have some backups filling in for other backups. So I think it's going to be an entertaining game. But right now, today, I'll take the Commanders getting 8.5.
Yeah, let me tell you a little trade secret here in playoff football. I've been a number 1 seed quite a few times playing for the Patriots. That divisional game, when you come off a bye week and you're playing a team that just won a road game in the playoffs and they're believing themselves, that is a hard game to win. If you look back, this is the 10-year anniversary where my Patriots had to come back on the Ravens twice. 2 10-point deficits in that game. We had to do that double throw Amendola to Edelman to win that game, and then we win the AFC Championship by 40 when we rout the Colts. Coming out a bye week last year, the San Francisco 49ers I was part of, we had a bye week. We came out to a hot Green Bay team that punched us in the mouth. So when you want that rest, that's great. You need that rest. Having that 1 seed is an advantage, but it is hard to when a team is coming in your building and just won a game 6-7 days ago. These young guys got a lot of belief in them. They think, why not us? They're playing the underdog role, and a lot of times when you're trying to get this Super Bowl, that divisional game for the 1 seed is usually harder than that championship game. So this is a tough game. Don't sleep on the Commanders in this one. I know it's all Detroit, but Jaden Daniels and them just played a game 7 days ago. They're going to walk in there with some confidence at why not us, and the Lions got to generate some steam and generate it early, or you're going to be looking around at halftime, need a great speech to dig yourself out of a hole.
Yeah, you got to fear that object in motion when you are starting to get things turned back up. You're spurring something in here, Logan, and I'm interested in both of your points of view on this because you've both been in that situation. What is the key for that 1 seed in getting out of the gate fast? If you could point to one thing that will make the Lions effective next week, what is that, Logan? You
just got to come out and you want to play from ahead. When you're at home in the playoffs, you want to get a lead so you can rush the passer, create turnovers, keep your crowd in it. If you get to a slow start and the Commanders have a 2-score lead, 10-point lead going to halftime, your own fans start to get tense. I mean, Detroit's going to have the thing booked up. You got fans out there waiting for 12 hours. It's the biggest moment in the city in how long. And if you don't start off quick, a lot of people bring a lot more tension than normal because there's a lot more anxiety in a playoff game. It's a game 7. So your fans feel it. Your coaches might feel it. Depends what type of locker room you have. You might feel it. So you want to get a lead early in the game, play from ahead, operate your game plan. If you get behind, then some of your fans and stuff, you start feeling that tension in the building.
When do you press that renegade button? I guess that's the question for you. When do you?
Shoot, I remember one AFC championship game, we came out to renegade. We came out to renegade. We was ready to get everybody fired up.
Mac, Logan, we appreciate your insight here on all fronts as we lean on some of that experience in the past, and we are looking forward to the future being Jaden Daniels taking on the Detroit Lions. Here's a look at that head-to-head. Washington 3-0 all-time in the playoffs against the Lions. We know the Lions' past is not as storied as most franchises. They still seek their first Super Bowl berth. Detroit winner in 6 of the last 7 against Washington.